Mark, you're doing great. You're doing wonderful. Carry on, carry on.
Oh,
it's 8.5 kilometers, buddy.
8.5 kilometers to
yes.
go?
No, 8.5 done. Out of 24. Okay. It's like 15.5 or so. All right.
You got a bit of sugar or something?
Oh, sugar. Thanks.
Okay. I don't know if it's altitude or sugar. Thank you.
You carry on. Oh, such a fuss people make out of 333, right? In the Himalayas. 3 passes.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thanks, people.
You have fun. All right.
La Ultra, the high, was originally conceived in 2010 as a 222-kilometer ultra-marathon in the Ladakh region of the Indian Himalayas. The race crosses two of the highest motorable passes in the world, the Khardung and the Tangalang. Owing to one of the harshest conditions on the planet, only a handful of ultra-runners have dared to take on this challenge. In the high-altitude desert of Ladakh, temperatures can fluctuate from the heat of 40 degrees Celsius to a bone-chilling minus 15 degrees Celsius only in a matter of a few hours. At the altitude of nearly 18,000 feet at the high passes, the oxygen levels are half of what they are at the sea level.
Well, there's simply nothing like it. It's in the Himalayas. It's through a mountain pass where the peaks are over 18,000 feet. It's just a remote, scary, intense race that is an incredible adventure. So I can't compare it to anything else.
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम डॉक्टर रजत चौहान है और ला अल्ट्रा द हाई का मैं रेस डायरेक्टर हूँ.
Yeah, so 2014, I think what was interesting was it was pushing the limit. It was about, we've done 222 for last 4 years. So 2010, 11, 12, 13, 4 years, we had been doing 222. And back then, everyone had said it can't be done. So we did that bit. And it was about now, what is the next level? I mean, because people were starting to finish 222. And it was like, okay, are we just carrying on with this? Are we looking at more participants coming along? Or what was the plan with that? So we introduced the 333. I wasn't sure how it would actually really turn out to be, because it could have gone either way. 333 did seem like too far. It did, honestly. It seemed like there's a very good chance they're going to put in effort. There's a very good chance, I'll say it, that none of them would actually get to the finish. I thought so.
The next big one I did was La Ultra 222, wasn't it, Rajat? Yeah, which was a brilliant experience. I really enjoyed the experience. I got bit by the bug by La Ultra. Well, actually, that's not quite true either, is it? Because I did the 222, and I thought, yeah, this is really good. And I can remember you being disappointed. So Rajat asked us, "Is this the toughest thing that you've done?" And I think a few of us say, "Well, actually, it isn't. Okay, it's a really good race." But, the La Ultra, the high, the 222, well, I'm sorry, Rajat, but it's not quite as tough as Badwater, and it's not quite as tough as Spartathlon. We were cracking away on either Facebook Messenger or something, and I was on the top of the mountain, and you asked me if I was coming back, and I said, well, probably not. And so you said, what about 333? And I said, okay, come on then. and that's how the 333 started, okay? All right, and then the 333 was a massively different beast altogether. That just took it into a different realm.
I've never been so excited about what I thought was coming, or what my fantasy told me what would be coming. But the most intense feeling, which of course culminated at the physical starting line, was just simply awe, being in awe of the amount of kilometers, and a great respect for the altitude and what that could do to the body, and a pride for being able to stand there at this spot in the world and take on such a challenge, not knowing the outcome, but just being so proud to be there and be part of this amazing sporting event.
The Ultra the High is truly a race unlike any other I've ever seen or known. You know, for one, it's in the Himalayas at extreme elevation. Some of the challenges, you know, the elements are huge out there. You don't really know one another. So I had just met Kim, you know, 2 weeks before race start, and the same with my crew member Sham. So we don't know how we work together. Going into the race, we are just hoping for the best. But I would say probably the biggest challenge is just the elevation and how people react to that, because you don't really know how anyone's gonna deal with that. You kind of have to go in, you know, with open mind and just ready to face the challenges head on and be calm and figure out how to get through them.
क्या सोचते हो इस रेस के बारे में? पता नहीं बंद करेंगे अपन करेंगे
What about my matching jacket?
Go!
Matching jacket!
Go! Hey! फोटो चाहिए ना?
It was probably, in hindsight, one of the most exciting and longest starting lines, because it just didn't include the physical starting line, but it being in Nubra Valley and getting prepared. It's so far away, it's so mysterious, it's so tough, it's so full of heart and soul. It's just, you know, one of the most amazing experiences that you can possibly give yourself. It's just like a gift which has, you know, quite a few factors.
All of them were extremely good runners. They had a very good background. And that's been something that we as La Ultra should be proud of. We didn't just let people in because they paid a registration fees. We've always been very clear. They have to be worthy of getting to the start line. So we look at their, like, what have they done in last 12 months, 24 months, or before, all of it put together. What are they about? So that becomes very, very important for us. So, I mean, I would even today, after 6 years of this or 7 years of this, the lineup was solid.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
The reason for starting the race at night was because that road is like a very important one that we run on. The traffic can be a bit too much. Another thing is, you're in the Himalayas and you're not seeing the Milky Way. That only happens when you end up running at night. And that's beautiful. When you're running at night, when you're just, as a crew member, you're sitting out at night time, it's beautiful. It's amazing. And you're connecting with yourself, because our race does not attract like 1,000 runners. You know, there'll be like 5, 10, 15 runners and all that stuff. You introspect a lot. You know, you connect with yourself a lot better.
5 for 3, 5 for 3, 5 for 3, 6 runners crossed, 1 over.
Thanks. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
What's interesting about La Ultra is we're always changing. It's as much as people would say is the same area or the route that we are following. One, the nature is such that it takes care that it's never the same. Second, we ourselves as race organizers are messing around with the start line, the finish line, and the start time of the run, the cutoffs. 2014, the cutoff for the 111 and 222 was 7 hours, saying that it has to be done with some effort. And for the 333, because we were very unsure how much energy they need to conserve to get to that point, we were like, okay, fair enough, 1 extra hour you get.
1 for 3. Chetan, are you there? Over.
did mess it up for a few runners, actually quite a few runners. So whether it was a 111 runner, whether it was the 222 runners, like 7 hours for 48 kilometers, climbing up to like from an 11,000 feet to the 15,000 feet. Looking back at it, I think it's a little tough.
Hey Mark, Alex.
I mean, I've been working really hard, Rajat, and I just made it. Okay.
The other guys are like light years behind.
That's the thing.
Light years.
Yeah.
Light years. Light years.
Sato, you want to carry on? Look at that. Show me other hand. This is more swollen, right? How are you feeling?
Come on, Kiran!
How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Honest one.
It's okay. I won't carry on.
You want to?
Kieran,
forget it.
relax, okay?
Just relax, take a break.
Give it 5 minutes. Give it 5 minutes, but do keep in mind it gets tougher after this.
I know.
Okay? Because it gets tougher now. This is just the beginning.
Tougher now?
Yeah, this is just the beginning. How are you feeling, Sato?
Cold.
What's the plan?
I'd rather help you guys if you guys need any help. I don't see the point of going on.
Awesome.
No,
Well done.
it's over.
No, well done. No. Do you understand how tough this is? Some
yeah.
very good guys are behind you. You've done great. Okay?
It's just that
Alright, come on.
I think after Khardung village, I stopped for a little bit. I wasted time. But I was running okay. I just
See,
wanted to crash.
listen, more than the time, if your heart is pounding the way it is, you just need to take a break, and that's completely
No,
fine.
but I was sprinting to try.
You were sprinting here.
Yeah,
Fuck.
when I saw the last 500 meters, sprinting full fast. I was like, I don't know how much time I had.
Come on, Kiran.
It's okay.
If you're exerting your body too much, at that altitude, you haven't rested. What it does is, the high altitude sickness hits you even harder. Combined with the cold that you're going through, it's even tougher. So you have the cold, you're talking about -10, -8 degrees, you haven't slept, you're tired. What do you expect with high altitude sickness? It'll hit you a lot harder. Alan Wrinkle, he got there later. Medically, we disqualified him there. Then Bridget carried on after that. And very soon after that, she was struggling. I remember she had this one toast in her hand and she was struggling to eat that one single toast and actually carry on moving, forget about running.
It got much colder. I started to feel nauseous and started to have headaches, just feeling generally queasy and not so strong. Of course, it got steeper and steeper, and I remember making myself a peanut butter sandwich at North Palu, and I remember after about an hour or so of holding this sandwich in my hand, the sun started to go up. I don't know, I guess the night was taking its toll on me. I guess I had pushed, too hard or something, and I started to go much slower after North Palu, and I just kept thinking, like, why are you not eating this peanut butter sandwich? And I remember taking a bite at some point and just having the bite of sandwich, in my cheek. I just couldn't get it down. And so the culmination of, I guess, the higher altitude, being exhausted, I just completely lost my appetite and the ability, I guess, because things had gotten weaker, I just couldn't get anything down. It was just getting, more and more unrealistic going at the speed I was, and I hadn't even gotten to the steepest part yet.
Michael had come 2 years ago, before this, and Michael and Kim, both of them had come together. He was very clear. When he had come, he was like, listen, I've come, but I haven't trained. Even on emails, he had told me, but I want to come along with my friend Kim. People have their running buddies and they want to be with them, they want to support them. After North Pulu, he started struggling, more so around closer to Khardung. So like 4-5 kilometers short of Khardung, he was really struggling. I mean, I remember at one stage, I was kind of trying to pace him or getting him motivated, inspire him, whatever, just trying to be with him each step of the way. I was just walking with him, and I just put my head down and just walked 10-15 steps. And I noticed there was no Michael, because Michael was just sitting in the corner somewhere by the roadside, and he had barely taken 2 steps. And that just showed how, he was not totally prepared for it, because Khardung shouldn't have been a big deal for him. Just 2 years ago, he had done that bit, 36 hours, 36 minutes.
Station 421, Rajat, Jason is not in really good shape. His coordination is lost and is dehydrated. He is not in really good shape.
Is the medical team with you? Over.
Interesting part about high altitude sickness is, as I said, it's a great leveler. Now Jason Dunn, for example, got to the 48 kilometer mark in 6.5 hours or so, or even lesser, I think. They were doing fine till Khardung, and while coming down was the struggle part for them. What's important to notice here is it's not only about climbing up that you get high altitude sickness. Even while coming down you can, because you're yet above 16,000 feet or 17,000 feet. So that was the tricky part for Jason. In my opinion, just went off too quick in the very beginning, and more so at that high altitude. So that's what altitude does. It has zero regard, respect for anything like this.
Come on, Jap. You can beat that.
I am running for peace.
Kolkata to Vaishno Devi to Leh Ladakh. उसके आगे कहाँ?
ना हो गया आप
ऊपर कहाँ जाओगे?
आप सीधा घर जाने
क्यों? घर क्यों जाना है?
बस
क्या करोगे घर पे जाके अभी?
घर में बीवी है ना,
पहले भी तो थी, अभी भी तो थी बीवी। या कहीं और छोड़ के आए थे?
2.5 महीना हो गया ना, इसलिए आप जाना चाहिए.
Roichi Sato, the real Iron Man, unlike the one in the film Avengers. He has a pacemaker, he has a couple of disc bulges in the lower back, and cartilages in his knees are not very good. Most people with such conditions would not want to move around, even one condition like that. And here's this guy who cannot stop running, and in these extreme conditions in Leh and Ladakh and all over the world. He came to Ladakh for La Ultra in 2012, finished his full marathon, placing himself first. In 2013, he ran 2:22, and he was the first Japanese finisher. And this year, because of his back pain, he was tilted from North Pulu onwards. So tilted to one side because of the back pain, he carried on marching, running, walking, crawling to Khardung, to South Pulu, and then till Leh. That's where he saw me. He hugged me right there and burst out into tears. If you are going to battle, this is the warrior you want to have with you. Maybe the general who leads your army. He's an amazing guy who would never quit. And that's Roichi Sato for you. So on a later date, Sato said something very interesting to me. He said, I've run over 70 tough ultras all over the world, and I've never hugged anyone. I've hugged so many people at La Ultra over these years. It's amazing.
Once we picked up Kim to start crewing, there was no change in race strategy. We knew that, half of the field was out, and that first night was really tough. And, we believed the next 2 nights are going to be rough. But Kim just mentally was in the zone. And so we knew that all we could do was just keep moving forward and help him get to the finish line.
High altitude is a funny thing. You could have been to Mount Everest 10 times, 15 times, and after those times, when you go again once more, high altitude sickness can hit you. So high altitude sickness really has no respect, whoever you are. You could have done whatever before. You go back to scratch again and start again.
Do you want to take the rest for another couple of hours and then decide? Or? Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Morning, Mark. How are you doing?
Morning, Doc. Good morning.
How's life?
Mark.
How are you doing?
I'm okay actually. All right. We stopped for a while. I just had to sleep.
You're doing great for time, so no issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just had to sleep.
Yeah.
I just like, and there were like giant rabbits on the side of the road and giant snails and.
Snow
And they
leopards.
were all sort of like doing this and this and this, and I thought, I gotta sleep.
I only view. Ooh la la, 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 ooh la la. Ooh la la, ooh la 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 la.
Yo, Chetan, what's up?
I froze.
Awesome. Or high camp level. Great.
Now tries to
move your hands. Good, you move. Okay. Yes, madam. Priyanka, how was it?
I broke my bed.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Hello, Taylor.
How's it
Arpit, how's it going, Arpit?
Very bad, dog.
Honestly.
It was just so nice to see a lot of the core team, and we learned that there was only 4 runners left in the race, and Kim was in first. And so we stopped there just to get some food and collect ourselves before the journey up. And so on the way up, I remember Kim just stopping every few feet to take a deep breath. It was just such a climb, but it was a beautiful blue day, and it was really cold, but the sun was out, thankfully. And so, we just really just took our time getting up there.
You're doing great.
Hey, where's Jack?
He's right here.
Yeah.
Sunbathing.
It's all over. Smashed it. Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love.
You know what? I started at high camp. First couple of curves, I kind of took a shortcut, but I think this was still about a 10k walk up. I'm hoping to do a slow jog back down. 2 things I realized. Actually, 3 things. This is an awesome spot. No worries, might, as Doc would say. The last kilometer, I think the toughest kilometer I've done in my life. No doubt about that. Third thing that I realized, all these guys are crazy. In a good way. But I hope to come back, actually try a portion of this run next year, if I get a reasonable distance.
Get that. Oh, really? I wish he had been a little slower, and when I caught him, he was at a snail pace by then. He was barely moving, and then he had to be got to the high camp, and oxygen had to be given to him. And again, in the interview, he admits himself that he had gone too quick the day before. So it's not even about me saying it. I mean, he appreciated that fact that he just went too quick. So again, the impact, the effect of high altitude stays with you even at 11,000 feet. So even if he was moving quick or trying to move quick at 11,000 feet, what you've done at a 17, it's payback time effectively when you're down there.
That's almost there, man.
You did great,
I did. I probably pushed a little too hard yesterday, but you got to do. Got to go for it.
He had done by then 222 kilometers, and here was Jeb. He was already having some ankle issues. It showed in the last 4 or 5 kilometers, especially because I was close to them during that time when they were getting to the 222 cutoff point. But when I examined, so what I told him was, when he got to the 222, that listen, not happy with the lung conditions, I need you to rest. We'll reassess in some time. I did exactly that. He rested, checked him again. It just wasn't looking good. And now we have in front of him another triple one that is there, with another high pass that is there, Tangalang. I can't risk anyone for that reason when it's at that altitude. So it was a very simple decision for me, a difficult one because it's a extremely good friend who's trained for that long, an amazing guy, and to break it to him, saying, listen, it's game over. I would say no regrets as a race director because it was something that had to be done.
Start after 1 hour.
Yeah, cool. You did good.
Yeah, inside.
Okay, we're just gonna
carry on.
You
carry on.
walk, okay?
Yeah, we just wanted to check on you. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Just checking, Secretary.
What happens at La Ultra is all participants, all crew members, all drivers become family. So that's something very important to understand. Even though we do say, we do have this little thing about what does it look like, who will get to the finish. Listen, as an event organizer, you need to do that little reality check. So you need to kind of plan things accordingly. So it's not about being stupid. It's not about having a bet. It's not about that. It's about planning. And it's being on the ground. What do we need? If things go wrong. So we plan things very conservatively. We plan things. Imagine if all 9 runners disqualify or pulled out at a certain stage. How many ambulances, how many medical staff, teams do we need? So that thinking is working from that point of view.
And grey, you're my hearth, my flame. Oh, when I'm old and on my way, you still know my face.
Great. Never had so much fun. Great holiday. Enjoying every moment of it. Got so 2 fantastic sunrises. Never in my life could I have imagined something like that. Yesterday at Wari, we were climbing in. There were mountains 360 degrees and you didn't know which way the sun was rising, but each and every mountain had a fantastic silver lining. And it was just Kim and me walking up and wondering, what have we done to achieve this wonderful stuff or to get this great deserve this great sight. Incredible. So wake up for 72 hours, you'll see the Himalayas that you have never seen before.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Thanks to you.
Pleasure. So we got to Rumse being 277 kilometers, and full of energy. There are 2 runners yet on the course. Jup was the third one who was out, so the only 2 of them. Both looked in good shape. But I also remember coming down Khardung when Mark and Kim were there together. So, the camaraderie at Ultras is amazing, is phenomenal. But at the same time, we also, in all of us, is that little baby, that little child, that I want to be there, the first person to cross the line, especially when it's a new distance, like a 222 or a 333. I want to be the first one to do a whatever distance. All of us have it.
Mark Woolley and Kim Rasmussen, both of those guys are super strong, super fit, experienced endurance athletes. They're like the cream of the crop of runners. They're both excellent. They both proved how tough and how expert they are at running in those distances. Those guys have done some of the most intense races in the world, and they just have my utmost respect.
So Kim had been in the lead starting on the second day, and so when we heard that Mark was coming up behind us, we were just really, really surprised. And Mark did overtake Kim, and they showed great sportsmanship, and they hugged, and they stayed together for a moment, and then Mark took off, and Mark was looking really good. And I think it did put a little pressure on Kim. We had talked, and he said that, this was not about winning, this was about just finishing and seeing if this was humanly possible. But I think he was pretty excited that he was in first for so long. Kim knew mentally that he was going to get to that finish line, and so we were going to be there first or second place.
You could just feel the electricity in the air, of all the people who were involved, and it's just an amazing thing. It's not like 1,000 participants who are, finishing and coming over Wari Law. It's like 1 or 2.
He carried on towards Tangalang and got there. He was super happy, those selfies taken, those pictures taken with Havi and stuff like that. It was all cool stuff. So we went ahead by 8 odd kilometers, and we were waiting for him there. And Mark gets there. Somehow he was low on energy. He didn't seem as full of energy as he was while he was on top of Tangalang. And he asked for sugar, and I thought, because it was like about 16 kilometers short of the finish line. You're doing wonderful. Carry on, carry on.
Oh,
it's 8.5 kilometers, buddy.
8.5 kilometers to go?
Yes. No, 8.5 done. Out of 24. Okay. It's like 15.5 or so. All right.
You got a bit of sugar or something? Okay.
All right.
Thanks, people.
You have fun. All right.
As we were heading down Tangalang La, we saw a lot of cars and some commotion ahead. And so a core crew vehicle had come up to us, and Rajat, the race director, jumped out and pulled me aside, and he told me that Mark was in really bad shape.
His crew member came over rushing in the car saying, something's happened to Mark and he's not feeling okay. Like, what happened? Where? He had barely moved 500 meters from where we had actually left him. He was in the car flat. I think it was not about high altitude, it was a combination of things. It was about high altitude, it was about hypoglycemia, not enough energy being taken in, probably because of maybe overconfidence. But it was also about hypothermia. When you take all these 3 things together, you just cut them down by a little bit only. It's a recipe for disaster.
And if I'd have been more humble and had walked, then I'm pretty sure that wouldn't have happened. But my ego got in the way. There you go. That was a classic case of the ego making a bad decision and thinking that it was better than it was. All right.
Hey, that's the sport we choose, isn't it, Raj? Okay.
Let's do this actually then.
But you know what that means, don't you? I'll come back next year, man.
After the winter.
Oh.
Thank you to all of you who have helped me on the mountains and in the night, the crews, all the other crews, all the people. It has been fantastic to be here. The race was very tough, tougher than I had believed, but it was a fantastic race to do. I'm a little bit sad about it that I am the only one who's standing here. I will hope all of the runners have been here to celebrate it with me, but it was a tough one.
Next time.
Yes. Thank you very much to all the teams and the crews.
Yeah.